Okay, chapter 17, the divisions of faith. So we're going to be seeing a lot of description about how we can recognize three modes in various aspects of material life. Arjuna Vacha, Ye Shastra Vidamutturja, Yajante Shaddayanvitaha, Tesham Nishtatuka Krishna, Sattvam Maho Rajastamaha. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scripture, but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Which is pretty much the whole world. People are just worshipping according to their own imagination, because most of the actual processes that were there as given in Vedas, etc., got contaminated, diluted, etc., over ages. So pretty much whatever anybody is doing today is mostly imagination. So is that worship? Are they in goodness, passion, ignorance? Arjuna is asking. So because last chapter, Krishna says, one who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor supreme destination. Arjuna is inquiring, okay, what is the mode of worship? Purport. In the 4th chapter, 39th verse, it is said that a person faithful to a particular type of worship gradually becomes elevated to the stage of knowledge and attains the highest perfectional stage of peace and prosperity. 4th chapter, 39th verse. Let's see what that is. Okay. Shraddhava lavate gnanam tatpara samyatendriyaha gnanam labdva param shantim achirenadi gacchati. Translation: a faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses, he is eligible to achieve such knowledge. And having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. Okay, in the 16th chapter, it is concluded that one who does not follow the principles laid down in the scriptures is called an asura, demon. And one who follows the scripture injunction faithfully is called a deva or demigod. Now, if one with faith follows some rules which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunctions, what is his position? This doubt of Arjuna is to be cleared by Krishna. Are those who create some sort of God by selecting a human being and placing their faith in him, worshipping in goodness, passion, or ignorance? Do such persons attain the perfection stage of life? Is it possible for them to be situated in real knowledge and elevate themselves to the highest perfectional stage? And to those who do not follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but who have faith in something and worship gods and demigods and men, attain success in their effort? Arjuna is putting these questions to Krishna. Who create some sort of God by selecting a human being and placing their faith in him? That is one question. Second question is, do such persons attain the perfectional stage of life? Because in this 4th chapter, Krishna is saying that one who comes to the platform of knowledge with faith, then he will attain perfection. So this kind of faith also, will it help him achieve perfection? Is it possible for them to be situated in real knowledge? And okay, wondering, a faithful person who is dedicated to a transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to such knowledge and will achieve supreme spiritual peace. Now, is this applicable to, so Arjuna is asking, Prabhupada is saying here, is it possible for them to be situated in real knowledge because one who is situated in real knowledge achieves perfection. But somebody who is selecting some person and worshipping him, will they achieve perfectional stage? Will they achieve real knowledge? Do those who do not follow the rules and regulations of scriptures, but who have faith in something, they have faith, but they do not follow the rules and regulations of scriptures, will they attain success? So this whole question is about people who deviate from Vedic rules and regulations. They might make a show of having knowledge, they might make a show of following some kind of process, etc. So Arjuna is asking what is their gati, what is their destination. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Trivida Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Cheva Tamasi Cheti Tam Shunu. Supreme Personality Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now we hear about this. See, okay, now all these verses from here on, what is the importance of these verses? One is, for us to know that we should not be stuck in any of these modes, number one, right? Sometimes we'll see ourselves acting in the mode of goodness and we might feel, oh, okay, this is nice. No, we have, of course, it is good. It is better than being in passion and ignorance, but we have to transcend goodness as well, right? So that we should remember. Second, when we are dealing with other people, mostly we will get affected negatively by people in mode of passion and ignorance. Because anyway, people in mode of goodness are anyway less in number in this Kali-yuga. So when we know how people behave in mode of passion and ignorance, then we can recognize, oh, okay, this person is under the control of mode. So his faith is in the mode of goodness and passion. Faith is in the mode of ignorance. Now, one is it will help us deal with people because we'll realize that they're helplessly being controlled by certain modes. So instead of taking our frustration, anger against people, we can see the hands of Krishna's external energy, and then possibly be able to deal with people in a much better way. And it also helps in preaching, because when we see people in different modes, then we can understand their nature, and then accordingly we can tell them things that in a way that they can understand, and in a way that it appeals to their psychology. So these are very important. This and the next chapter pretty much talks about various aspects and modes. So here Krishna is saying faith is also in three modes. Purport: those who know the rules and regulations of scriptures, but out of laziness or indolence give up following these rules and regulations, are governed by the modes of material nature. According to their previous activities in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, they acquire a nature which is of a specific quality. The association of the living entity with the different modes of nature has been going on perpetually. So it's a Nitya Baddha. Since the living entity is in contact with material nature, he acquires different types of mentality according to his association with the modes. We know all this. But this nature can be changed. Okay, this I'm going to speak about a little bit. This nature can be changed if one associates with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules and the scriptures. Okay, so this is very important. Many a times I've seen or heard devotees saying, I am stuck in this mode. Or they'll say, this is my nature, Prabhu. What this means is that somehow we feel that, before coming to Krishna consciousness, we had a certain nature. Okay, for example, somebody might be short-tempered, somebody might be irresponsible, somebody might be very casual about things, somebody, so many things, right? So many kinds of natures are there. right? We would have been, we would have had one of these natures before we came to Krishna consciousness. And when we are not in Krishna consciousness, these natures are very, very powerful. We know that, and we are under the control of those natures or modes. Once we come into Krishna consciousness and we start chanting, and like Prabhupada is saying here, one who comes, when one associates with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules. Bona fide spiritual master is not just Diksha Guru. For us, even association with Prabhupada, following the process, following the rules and regulations, following scriptures. Now, when we start doing all this, automatically we know that bhakti transforms. Traigunya Vishaveda, Nistraigunya Bhavardhana. So we start to transcend the modes. Okay. But of course, I mean, our deepest anarthas will appear as, our eternal nature, and we struggle to get past it. Now, that is simply because it is a very deep anartha and it will take some time, some more sadhana, strict sadhana for us to get over those anarthas. But we should not surrender to the anarthas and say, oh, my nature, it cannot be changed. Modes are very powerful. Oh, I'm stuck in this mode. I cannot come out of it. This just shows that we don't have enough faith in the process, that we are not really completely surrendered to the process. We simply, externally we are just thinking that, okay, bhakti, this, that, and all that. But deep inside, we think that, no, my nature is so strong that nothing can help me. This actually means multiple. One is lack of faith in the process. Second is lack of faith in Krishna only, because we have surrendered to Krishna. So we should understand that our nature can change if we want it to change. If we want to hang on to anything in material life, Krishna will let us hang on to it. You want to hang on to our anarthas, Krishna will say, okay, your desire. But it is not a limitation or a, weakness or some kind of, it's not that bhakti cannot change us or cannot remove our anarthas. It's just that we don't want to get over it. We don't want to get out of it. And we conveniently, take shelter of material mode and say, oh, no, Maya is so strong, this, that, and all that, right? We sound like knowledgeable people and we give some reason. But we should understand this is just simply a lack of faith. Bhakti can transform anything and everything. But Prabhupada here says one is association with the Guru and abiding by rules. Now, this is where most people get stuck. They don't want to follow any rules, but they want all the changes to happen in them. How is that possible? That is not possible. So if you follow the rules and regulations, say, or somebody is saying, okay, get up early in the morning, chant in Brahma Muhurta, it makes a huge difference as compared to getting up, doing our chanting at like some 6 o'clock or something. It comes already, Rajasic energies will be there in the environment by that time. It's not going to help those who are badly stuck in the modes. Those badly stuck in the modes have to get up much earlier in Brahma Muhurta when action of the modes is at its, minimum. Least effective. Modes are least effective during that time. Right? So, and of course, somebody might say, no, it's too early, I feel sleepy. Then chant in the association of devotees. Figure out some way by which we can do intense sadhana. And of course, the answer to all these questions about, no, I find it difficult to do this, do that, is find the right kind of association. Knowledge is there. We have heard of it. We know of it, but we don't put it into practice. If you don't know it, then it's one thing. Then getting that knowledge, reading Prabhupada's books, etc. But once we know the knowledge, if you're not able to put something into practice, that is simply our lacking in us. That can be solved simply by associating with devotees who have done it. but the underlying point is that nature cannot be, it's not that nature cannot be changed. Anything can be changed. We should not put ourselves into this situation where indirectly we are saying, I don't want to get out of this nature of man. That is dangerous. Then we will not make progress. Prabhupada says, gradually one can change his position from ignorance to goodness or from passion to goodness. Gradually, yeah, gradually, because if we deep anartha, it might take some time. It won't happen overnight. But gradually doesn't also mean ages, like, or, lifetimes. It might mean, few years based on how intense our sadhana is. The conclusion is that blind faith in a particular mode of nature cannot help a person become elevated to the perfectional stage. One has to consider things carefully with intelligence in the association of bona fide spiritual master. Thus, one can change his position to a higher mode. Please remember this. We should never feel I am stuck. We will be stuck to the extent that we think we are stuck. Let me repeat that. We will be stuck to the extent that we think we are stuck. Literally, this is ye yatha mam prapadente tam sateva bhajamyam. So, if we worship, if we engage in bhakti thinking, oh no, I'm stuck in this mode, I cannot get out of it, Krishna will say, okay, tathastu. If that's what you want, you get it. Very important to understand. Modes of nature are not more powerful than bhakti, and we can easily overcome them provided we engage in Tivra Bhakti. Anybody has any questions on this? Because this is very important. Generally, we are somewhat, if anybody feels that we cannot get over, we cannot transcend the modes, etc., this is the verse that is saying, no, you can. Okay, move on. Verse 3. Sattvanurupa sarvasya shraddha bhavati bharata shraddha mayoyam purusho yo yat shraddha sa eva saha. O son of Bharata, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the mode he has acquired. Okay, this definition. Purport, everyone has a particular type of faith, regardless of what he is. But his faith is considered good, passionate, or ignorant according to the nature he has acquired. Thus, according to his particular type of faith, one associates with certain persons. So, Prabhupada is now extending the logic. So, one has certain, he belongs to a certain, he is in a certain mode. Based on that, he has developed a certain faith. According to that, he develops association with certain persons. Now, the real fact is that every living being, as it is stated in the 15th chapter, is originally a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, one is originally transcendental to all the modes of material nature. This we forget. Actually, this our absorption in material nature is so strong. I mean, I keep introspecting on this when I am come down to one of those modes, and when I'm in one of these modes displaying some anartha, actually till I read, I can't remember that I am stuck. As in, Jato Vishan Pumsan Sangasteshu Sangat Sangaya Sanjayate Kamat. So that Smriti Vibhramaha, that our intelligence is bewildered. Actually, we don't realize that, oh, actually I am transcendental to the three modes. Why am I simply, like wanting to get stuck? Actually, we want to get stuck. For example, suppose I get angry at something, nothing related to bhakti, just some material stuff, right? Now, when I get angry, I forget that I am not this body, that I don't belong. This is a temporary, vehicle that I have. Everything associated with this, which are reasons or causes of my anger, are also temporary. I should not just get to fixed up on this, and we forget about all this. We forget that I am transcendental to three modes. We forget all this, right? So we have to remember. So some things we have to do, like practice. So when we are stuck, so normally I maintain kind of like I call it cheat sheet, Maya cheat sheet. Like I write down some of these important teachings or instructions which can help me when I fall into the modes. Now, I'm saying when I fall into the modes because when we are engaged in activities of devotional service, we transcend. We are not in any of the modes. Generally, I mean, early stages, beginning stages, we'll be in modes when we are doing bhakti also, like Kapila Muni says, but slowly and steadily, we at least when we are engaged in activities of Krishna consciousness, we transcend the modes. But when we are not doing any activities of Krishna consciousness, then we fall into the modes. And when we fall into the mode and we know what is our greatest anartha, we should, when we read Prabhupada's books, we should note down things that can help us kind of fight that mode when we fall into it. It's important to make some kind of a notes or cheat sheet which will help us in these kind of fallen states. But when one forgets his relationship with the Supreme Person of Godhead and comes into contact with the material nature in conditional life, he generates his own position by association with different varieties of material nature. This is because when we fall down, we forget this connection with Krishna, that we are part and parcel, we are transcendental. We simply like to associate in that mode in that way. For example, why I get angry, okay, I like getting angry. In the sense, it makes me feel happy. It makes me feel satisfied saying, okay, example, somebody did something wrong. I shouted that person. I feel that I've done the right thing because I upheld the doing the right thing. He was doing the wrong thing. So I feel satisfied, right? So these so-called anarthas give us some kind of satisfaction. And then we want to associate with it because it gives us some pleasure. Though before we come into Krishna consciousness, we don't understand that this is not the right pleasure that we should be seeking. Even after coming to Krishna consciousness, sometimes we get stuck in these modes and we feel somewhat, okay, this is fine. What is wrong with that? So here, Prabhupada is saying that by association with the different varieties of material nature, then we generate a new position. We will generate, some other thought process we will develop. The resultant artificial faith and existence are only material. So this is artificial faith. So, for example, nationality, right? Desha Bhakti. Now, this is artificial faith. I just created it. And then I use that now everywhere where there's some corruption, I use this artificial faith. And then I keep getting entangled into this thought process more and more. And eventually I will develop something new, some new faith will develop. Something else will come up, right? And then we'll stick to it. And this is how we get conditioned and get stuck in material world, right? That is why when we are in the practicing bhakti, Krishna actually in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, he tells Arjuna, Uddhava Gita, he says that one should not even be stuck with the right and wrong. Krishna says dharma samsthapanaya. Dharma means right and wrong. But Krishna here in Uddhava Gita is saying don't get stuck with right and wrong also, because you will get stuck. And this right and wrong is just mode. It's just material, right? Nothing spiritual about it. So if we get attached to right and wrong, then we'll get stuck. It will be reason for, it will condition us. So Krishna tells Uddhava, no, we should transcend right and wrong also. Then he also says, in the house you be a guest. Forget about your duty and all that, because sense of duty binds us. So it's very difficult. 11th canto is a very complicated teaching. Much easier to understand Bhagavad Gita. Uddhava Gita is even difficult. Pretty much a lot of things Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is not required there. So the point is that more and more we associate with material things, we will get stuck in some mode and we will keep modifying that, improvising that, whatever we want to call it, but we'll fail to transcend. Willingly we'll be stuck. So Prabhupada is saying here is that some artificial faith will get created and we'll be happy to remain in that faith, uphold that faith. Although one may be conducted by some impression or some conception of life, originally he is nirguna or transcendental. Therefore, one has to become cleansed of the material contamination. This is what I was trying to explain. This is material contamination. Right and wrong, did somebody follow traffic rules? So all this is material contamination. And we will fill our heads with all this kind of chota-mota material contamination. We stand in a traffic signal. I used to do this a lot. Stand in a traffic signal. Somebody broke the signal. We'll say, see, people can't even follow this. No, how does it matter? It doesn't matter. It is important whether that person is doing bhakti or not. Neither, of course, we should follow traffic rules, but we cannot worry that the whole world is not following traffic rules because it just conditions us. Our consciousness will become traffic rule consciousness and not Krishna consciousness. So these material things which might sound very nice and good and all that, it simply bind us. Simply bind us. So this is material contamination. So one has to be cleansed of this material contamination in order to regain his relationship with the Supreme Lord. So the more material thoughts we have, the farther away we are from Krishna. Now, whether these material thoughts are sense gratification, whether these material thoughts are thoughts of, love for the country, whatever it is, love for environment, all of this, if it is not directly connected to Krishna, is contamination because it is going to drive us away from Krishna. So that is why, dovetailing is a very difficult word to understand. Dovetailing everything in Krishna consciousness. So, for example, if suppose say somebody, is environment friendly, now somehow that person has to bring that in connection with Krishna. Otherwise, if he's simply materially thinking about environment, good environment, nice environment, etc., then that will bind him. So this requires each and every individual person to kind of deeply introspect. Okay, if something is so important for him and it doesn't look readily connected to Krishna, then he has to, he or she needs to talk to senior devotees and figure out how one needs to dovetail. But there's a big difference between dovetailing and doing directly what Krishna wants. Dovetailing means I am attached to something and somehow I'm trying to figure out how to connect that to Krishna. That is dovetail. But directly doing what Krishna says, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, that is direct. But I like to play guitar. Playing guitar for Krishna is dovetailing. It's not ideal because Krishna doesn't like guitar. But it's okay as in initial. Then we remove this dovetailing and say, okay, I like doing kirtan and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said Kartal and Mridanga. That's it. End of story. Right now, dovetailing converts to dedicating, doing exactly what Krishna wants. The point is that we should not get materially stuck. That's the whole point. That is the only path back without fear, Krishna consciousness. If one is situated in Krishna consciousness, then that path is guaranteed for his elevation to the perfectional stage. If one does not take to this path of self-realization, then it's surely to be conducted by the influence of the modes of nature. So Prabhupada is saying, unless one is in Krishna consciousness, he is driven by the modes. And see what this means. This means that one who is engaged in Krishna consciousness should not be driven in the modes. But unfortunately, today we see we are all trying to engage in Krishna consciousness, but we are driven by the modes. That means that we are not fully engaged in Krishna consciousness. And when Prabhupada writes this purpose, this is for devotees who are 100% dedicated, 24 hours of their day, they are dedicated doing Krishna conscious activities. For them, they will not be under the influence of modes. But if we are doing 2 hours, 3 hours, Krishna conscious activities in a day, obviously we will be under the modes. This is not ideal. That is why Bhakti Vikas Maharaj keeps saying, go to farm, because that is conducive environment. 24 hours bhakti. City means 2 hours, 3 hours bhakti. The word Shraddha or faith is very significant in this verse. Shraddha or faith originally comes out of the mode of goodness. One's faith may be in a demigod or some created god or some mental concoction. One's strong faith is supposed to be productive of works of material goodness. So Prabhupada is saying at least good faith should be in mode of goodness, at least, if not transcendental. But in material conditioned life, no works are completely purified. They are mixed. They are not in pure goodness. Pure goodness is transcendental. In purified goodness, one can understand the real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, yeah, I mean, fundamentally, we have to transcend even goodness, normal goodness. As long as one's faith is not completely in purified goodness, the faith is subject to contamination. The contaminated modes expand to the heart. Therefore, according to the position of the heart in contact with a particular mode of material nature, one's faith is established. It should be understood that if one's heart is in the mode of goodness, his faith is also in the mode of goodness, and passion, mode of passion, etc. Thus, we find different types of faith in this world, and there are different types of religions due to different types of faith. The real principle of religious faith is situated in the mode of pure goodness, not just goodness. But because the heart is tainted, we find different types of religious principles because it is affected by other modes. Thus, according to the different types of faith, there are different kinds of worship. So Prabhupada in the second paragraph is saying faith should be at least in the mode of goodness, but it cannot be pure because material world goodness is affected by passion and ignorance every now and then. But one must transcend, one must come to pure goodness. Unless one comes to pure goodness, whatever religion or faith that is following will be contaminated. So they cannot come to the perfect process. Perfect process is possible only in pure goodness, which is available only in Krishna consciousness and in no other form of religion as such. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? It's 9:05, so I'll plan to stop. We can continue on Wednesday, Krishna willing. Any questions from anybody? Any thoughts? Pretty a little bit complicated. I don't know if I were able to explain clearly. No questions? Okay. And we close?
Okay, please.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for joining. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha namo namaha. Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.